think everyone's a little bit scared, especially in the creative community of AI.
Yeah.
Fear of, is it going to take our jobs?
The ones who are not doing and trying, practicing and testing are the ones who have to be afraid. It's a new tool that we have here, and when we have to maximize that tool. And through that iteration, you are finding new things. The type of clips I was getting were different, more realistic.
So crazy how fast this moves.
To keep up with innovation of AI nowadays is actually very hard.
Today, we are joined by Carlos Ramas Santamaria. Carlos is a visionary creative director and an art director. He has a rich background in advertising, having worked with global brands like Lego, DDB Budapest. With years of experience of creating high impact campaigns, he's now at the forefront of AI-driven content creation. He's pioneering fully AI-generated spec ads that push the boundaries of what's possible in filmmaking and advertising. And we're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your background in advertising and creative direction? How'd you get started?
Oh, I get started like 16 years ago. As you might notice by my accent, I'm from Spain, but I live in Hungary. And I finished my university of a degree in advertising, and I got a possibility to come to Hungary, to Budapest, to work in an internship with DDB Budapest. And yeah, it was supposed to be a 6-month contract, and it ended up in 16 years spending. Is the place where I stayed the longest in my life. I started as an intern, as an art director, working especially for McDonald's at the beginning. And then I jumped into a more senior positions, working for telecom. And then I also have like a few years where I was in McCann and in Isobar in a digital agency. Then after that, I decided that I need a break. So I became a freelancer. I think everybody who works in advertising full time at one point need to have a little break. So I decided it was my moment. And freelancing, it was also like a good experience for me to be more the business vision of advertising and promote myself. And then I decided that what if I try in the Nordic countries in Europe? And then I had the opportunity to work for Lego, for the in-house agency in Denmark, and they were beautiful 3.5 years. And after that, I say, okay, let's go back to Hungary and do the freelance job again, where I am now based.
That's awesome. I would love to talk a little bit about your experience just in advertising and everything. You've worked with some major brands. What were some of the most memorable projects that you've worked on, and what was your role in them? What did you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, memorable projects. I mean, all of them have something that I remember with love. My role on them, there are different roles depending of the year. No, like I was a creative director, an art director. Sometimes I had the chance to direct films on those projects. If I have to highlight one, I will highlight the project that I did for McDonald's, 2005, if I remember right. It's a project where I was the creative lead on the project. It was just for Hungary. And McDonald's was in a moment where they figured out that the connection with the customers, with the young customers, were not so strong. They used to love McDonald's, but at that moment they figured out that it was like a not so fresh brand. And with that brief, we decided to investigate the concept of McDonald's basically is nothing without the people. McDonald's will be an empty restaurant without the people. So we had to put the focus in the people and say, hey, guys, this is cool only because of you. If you will not come here, this will not be never a cool place or anything. And it was so important, the role of the people, that we noticed that the logo was I'm loving it, which is very much based on that people love McDonald's. And I'm very proud of this project because even we changed the logo to "We are loving you," telling to the customers that it's only because of you that this restaurant is something. If it's special, it's only because you make it special. So I think I have love of this project because of the beautiful production, and also because conquering this little chain in the logo, for example, was something that anybody who has worked in advertisement know how difficult it is to change the logo or change anything in the branding. So yeah, I think that's one of the projects that I love the most in my career.
That is so crazy that that McDonald's let you change the logo. Like,
Yeah,
that they were on board for that. Was that a tough conversation, or were they pretty amenable to it? Like,
mm, no, okay, this was like it was a campaign that only happened in Hungary, I have to say.
okay,
Most probably, if it will happen worldwide, the conversation will have been very different.
right, right,
But no, but the client was totally in. They saw the point. It was like that was the idea that we are telling a campaign where we say that you make it what it is, McDonald's. So let's say that we are loving you, not you are loving us. So it was important in that context.
yeah.
So it was easier that we thought.
hmm that's that way of thinking is so cool. Like that's what I really
Yeah.
love about directors and creators
Hmm.
is the just like the small tweaks on wording, the positioning, the story
Yeah.
that comes through with just a small tweak and how that it changes the whole perception of like an advertisement,
Ye- Yeah. I think that that's what anybody who works in advertising can bring, the agencies can bring to the clients, like this observation, because we are observing what the customer at the end of they want. And we are one more customer more. So is that we are observers, and then we have to tell, look, honestly, I think that it will make more sense. We are not they are more in the bubble, a client, they are too much inside. They cannot see these things, and then we are there to refresh their brand and their brain, and then to offer solutions like, okay, we think this could be deliver the message that we want to convey.
I'm so excited to hear to like just kind of transitioning to the AI side of things,
Yes.
how that kind of thinking and
Mm-hmm.
your creative director brain, how that works with AI tools and how then, kind of removing like the whole film crew and working with this big crew of people to being just you and the computer and interacting with AI, like how that can also bring your vision to life. And are those same types of patterns of thinking and principles about advertising, like do they stay the same? Or do you have
Mm-hmm.
to adapt? And I,
Mm,
I mean, there was a lot packed into what I just said, but
yeah.
you can jump into that, or you can just start with like, hey, uh, like this is how I was introduced to AI in the first place, you know. Mhm.
So sorry. Let's frame it a bit better, no? So yes. So the questions about how it was introduced to AI, or more about, do you want me to focus in the aspect of like how the process is changing? Sorry, I will need to.
Yes. No, sorry. This was that the first part was me ranting a little bit
Yes.
just about
Yeah.
where my
Yeah.
head's going with this and where I'm excited uh
Okay.
to have this conversation go eventually. But I think just transitioning to AI, like how did you first hear about AI tools and
Okay.
when were you first introduced to them? And Luma,
Yes.
when did you first find
Yeah.
Luma?
Yeah. Yeah. Introduced to AI, I was very long time ago. There was I remember a chatbot long time ago. I don't remember the name, but I was very curious about that chatbot, and I created my profile, and you just have to talk. And it was like the beginning of of conversations which make some sense. I think it was 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but I remember now. I look at back and say, "Oh my God, that was the beginning." Then, okay, what, like 3, 4 years ago, I guess Midjourney was the platform that surprised me, that suddenly DALI and Midjourney, they appear, and it was like, oh my God, we can create these images. And at the beginning, they were like very artistic, no? And like paintings. I have that memory of some of my friends were doing like sort of paintings with that. And in that time, the fact that they were weird and looked like paintings was like aesthetically like a decision that you had to take. It informed your ideas already because that was the aesthetic that you have to follow, and you can create something very cool with that constraints. But then it evolved in today's where now we are creating photorealistic art, and yeah, there is no any more constraint at all. So yeah, I think that was with AI. Yes, all started for me deeply with image creation. Yeah, Midjourney and Dali, I would say.
Mhm. When did you first discover Luma's products?
Yeah. Um, I I don't know if I'm right to say 1 year ago, but for sure, like, I know I remember there was the application before. There was this Luma has the product that there was the application where I could scan.
Yes.
Exactly. I had that one. Yeah, and it's more than a year. But then it took me a while until I connect that the same company is doing these two things, the one of the video and the one of the application, because I had the app in my phone.
Yes.
That's where I discovered Luma, which I realized later. But then I then video, I guess like yes, 9 months ago, most probably. Um, and it was interesting. So I think there were already several players on the video creation, but for me, Luma was the less frustrating for the way I create things. And I think all creators are having that barrier where AI is not always easy, and you have to go through a barrier of frustration because you're trying to create something and you cannot create exactly what you want, and there is a lot of iteration, and through that iteration you are finding new things. Actually, that bring us a bit more to in the process, like how iterating and creating with these tools will help you to create actually new ideas from the ideas that you originally started. So yeah, sorry, but coming back to Luma. So Luma, I started yes 8 months ago in the summer. In this last summer, I decided I had a project where I thought, okay, I'm gonna put my time into create this film with AI, and Luma was the one who gave me less resistance, and the results were like, wow, these are the interesting ones, and it's the one who yeah, I can control the most. And yeah, and so that was how I get to know Luma.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear that Luma gave you the least frustration and was the most like in line with your creative process or how
Yeah.
you were going about a project. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about like that. And how do you go about a project? Um,
Hmm.
how are you using these tools? Is it mainly for ideation and just testing ideas? Are you actually able to make projects with it and like full
Hmm.
advertisements? Where do you see?
So yeah, there is a little bit of everything right now,
Yeah.
and I think it's like everybody is, is in the same position, I guess.
Yes.
Like yes, of course, I use it as an inspiration for sure. I use it as a testing. So I use it in the process of creating my layout. So as well, and that's very stable right now. So for inspiration and to create the layout, for sure, AI is a fantastic tool and very reliable at the moment. Then, uh, I to create ideas, I don't use it to create ideas necessarily in my professional. I mean, in the pay work. I would say when a client come and give me a brief. But I discovered in my other projects, in these specs commercials that I created, that I am using it for creating ideas. For me, it's something new as well, because but because in the agency we are still working, with all the routinary steps and with this phases where you have the idea, you present to your client, you come back with modifications, you present it again, then you decided that this is going to be the production. You go to the production, you have to present the idea to so many different people, different companies who are also investing money on that. So there has to be some framework, and you have to agree on certain things. And what I'm discovering when I'm creating my own ads is that you agree in very highlight concepts or ideas, and then you discover how these ideas are coming alive, and then you decided which is the best. Now, if we're talking in terms of films, what is the best shot? What is the best expression? What is the best angle? And these things are coming through the iteration. So you cannot agree on all these things versus a normal process where you have to agree on a lot of things. And I understand that everybody wants to agree on things because they are also putting money and they have to present to other people. So it's depending of the project. I'm using it in different ways, but I'm already finding clients who are very interested in to use it with the limitations that it has, and as long as I also I have to be very didactic about the process, and that's something that we have to also learn and say, look, these are the expectations. This is the process. We are going to change the process. We are going to make it a little bit different. And if my clients are able to adapt to that process, then we will use more and more AI for my pay project.
Wow. Okay. So that is something I was deeply curious about is you're a
Okay.
freelancer and you're
Yes.
usually creating commercials and advertisements for clients in a more traditional sense. But you're saying that
Mm-hmm.
they are starting to become interested in the AI
Yes.
side of things and seeing
Yes.
what can be created with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everyone is wow. Okay. Do you
Yeah.
yeah. So have you made like any paid projects with AI or has it all been like spec up to this point?
I'm currently on doing a project for a smaller client, which is like we are in the middle of the process, and yes, that will be. But that's of a
Mhm.
client who is highly interested in AI as well. So he was on their own very interested, and they came to me. They saw my old commercial, and they say, "Okay, I love it. Can we do something along those lines similarly?" And I went to him. Okay, let's talk about it, and let's agree on the process, and let's talk about the things that can be done and cannot be done at the moment. Actually, I think now you always have to say this sentence at the moment, because
Yes.
it's gonna, it's like it might happen that it already changed 5 minutes ago
Yeah.
because it's changing all the time. So yeah, you always say at the moment this is what I can do, and this is just what you can do with the tools you are choosing. Because you can do a lot of things, and you have to choose what tools, depending of the idea you have, depending of the project, depending of the budget. So
That's so that's so that's so funny to me, and I
yeah.
resonate with that a lot. I had a client recently, um, as I'm also like a freelance producer, so
Uh-huh.
I had and during this process, we were in like the post-production process. We used AI to animate some specific elements that were in the background. And when I turned it into the client and they were reviewing it, they were like, "How did you do this? And why didn't you do
Mm-hmm.
this on the last iteration of this?" And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"The tech only actually became available this week. Like last week, it wasn't available."
Yes,
And
exactly.
so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so funny how it's so crazy how fast this moves. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the game really did change. Like in the last 2 months, things just
Yeah.
so much better. What you can.
Yeah, like one of the spec commercial for Oddly, if I'm not right, Rai 2, it came in the middle of the project.
Yeah, right.
And I was doing it in with some aesthetic, and then Ray 2 came, and I started to try, and the shots I have in the middle of that commercial, they are all done with Ray 2, and it complete changed the idea in a way. Actually, that idea was really one idea at the very beginning, and it turned into another idea because
Yeah.
of this iteration I'm telling you. But yes, so the clips from the middle come from that when I was testing Rai 2, which give me a completely different type of execution, the type of clips I was getting were different, more realistic, and that defined how the idea changed.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the process. So yeah, it's you have to keep up with the innovation of AI nowadays is actually very hard.
Yeah. It's it's crazy. It's like a full-time job just keeping
Yeah,
your
yeah,
eye on
yeah.
the internet.
Yeah, no, at one point I have to really like stop watching new things because there is also like FOMO, like okay, I
Yeah.
want to try this, I want to try that, and you have to yeah stick to what you have around and then play with that, and then try to get the best of what you have around.
Yeah. I've heard a couple people say recently that AI is finally at this point where they're able to almost like pick a company and kind of stick with it instead of having to keep their eyes on everything because now various
Hmm?
tools are good enough that they're offering like a wide spectrum of things, whereas previously you had to use like 15 different tools in order to complete a project.
Yeah,
A little bit of that, but
yeah,
it gets
yeah.
narrower every week.
I guess like there will be. You know, like we have Photoshop, Illustrator, and I don't know, a 3D software. You have several. You have to combine for what is the best for each job or for each idea. Um, yeah, I think it's all about like a combination to try to get the best tool for the idea that what the idea requires.
Yes. Yeah. What do you have any advice for creators in what tools to use or
Mm-hmm.
I know my husband always has this saying which is like the best tool is the one that gets the job done. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah. The one is, I mean, depend on the context of each person. For sure, as I said at the beginning, I mean, I use Luma in the very beginning because I just got the results that I want, and I didn't get the results from others, so I stick there. Um, and I think also you will be surprised. You use the one tool and then you iterate, and then suddenly you will start to get other things or things that in a different way that you expect.
yeah.
And again, like I would say, like at this current time, I think that we also have to let our idea evolve and to say that you might not get exactly the shot you want, but you're going to get something slightly different but equally good that you didn't see. Uh, yeah, so my recommendation is use your available tools. Okay, depend if it's a student or if it's an actual for a big project, and the money that you have, it also like count a lot because not everybody will have access to the same tools. But yeah, maybe also change your ideas based on the tool you got. Like don't stick to your idea so much, but just iterate and test things.
Okay. I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you because
Yes.
I think everyone's a little bit scared, especially in the creative community of AI, and just
Yeah.
the fear of is it going to take our jobs? Has creativity changed? Has the role of the creator changed? What do you see when you're working with AI,
Hmm.
as kind of the role of how much is the AI coming up with versus the creator? Like, do you feel that you're still at that in the driving position?
Hmm. Yes, I do believe that I'm still under control of the idea. I'm still the editor of the idea. I'm the one choosing the shot. I am iterating with the AI, with the platform. I am, yeah, I'm prompting. This is good. This is not good. Let's go this. Try that. So I feel the ownership of the idea. Yeah. So we have to be afraid of not doing things, not about. So the ones who are not doing and trying and practicing and testing are the ones who have to be afraid. Uh, but it's a new tool that we have here, and when we have to maximize that tool. Of course, like I also don't want to underrate the fear of people. I mean, there's if anything happened that people get without jobs, out of jobs, or I think new jobs are coming and some jobs are leaving. I think this always is happening. So I don't think we can go against that.
Yeah.
And I hope that the least amount of people in the world suffer from that. But yeah, new people will join as well in this world of AI. So this is gonna be overlapping, and it all will be changing. But yeah, but I would recommend to any creative that just keep doing, because if anybody is creative and curious, they just have to keep doing with any tool that they have around.
Yeah. Yes. And it's the argument we've all heard uh, of, when Photoshop came into being,
Yeah,
film, yes, did it change, did it change? Yes, but did the ideation process change of being the creator? Not really.
yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, I don't know. You can argue that, okay, where is the moment where is your idea is not your idea? That like
yeah,
when you are talking to ChatGPT and chatting with him about ideas, the one point is your idea and it's not your idea. I don't know. Maybe we had to redefine that. But
yeah,
at the moment, the way I use it, I like to choose what is good, what go in, what go out, and I pick up. And of course, an idea has a lot of processes. So an idea is not just you get the idea, but then you have to put it together. You have to make a lot of decisions. Uh, the text, the music, and the way I use it, I like to use all these tools to choose things. So, I mean, of course, if you there will be an AI that you just put the name of the brand and you make an ad. So maybe that's not make. Then we are doomed. Then we are not participating. But the
yes.
way I use it, I am participating,
Mhm.
and I have fun participating on that because have access. I have access to a lot of images and a lot of clips and videos we didn't have access before because the cost and the time that they were to produce those type of films, clip shots. So, so yeah, I am very happy to have this access, this quick access to these beautiful pictures and images and videos.
Yeah. I I just want to say too, like your Oatly commercial, for example, your Oatly spec
Hmm.
commercial. And hopefully all of you watching have had a chance to go see it. If not, link in the comments or in the caption. But it it's so funny. Like
Thank
like
you.
it has that filmmaker perspective on it that's clearly unique to you. And that the AI did not create. Like that
Yeah.
was completely you driving that point of view and that perspective and that tone as an artist. And I can tell you like 100% the AI didn't create that or probably have any part in that. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I just see so much content constantly and it can't create that. Like that
Hmm.
that is strictly a human quality that you bring to the table. And I don't know like how long, that commercial took to make with AI or like, how quickly we're able to iterate and bring that together. I assume AI speeded up that process considerably, compared to
Yeah, yeah.
traditional video having to go out and shoot something like that.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
No, that will be a very long process.
yes.
And if you take in consideration, so this film, I count that I was 5 days, not full time, but more or less 5 days working on that. And as I say, I started from a very different point. I really started from a very surreal. I mean, it's also surreal, but even more surreal, more surreal point where the couch were advertising oddly. In a way, cows are the ones who have the bigger benefit of people not consuming cow milk because Oatly is a plant-based milk.
Right.
So they are advertising saying, okay, you have to consume Oatly because of it's very good for you, blah blah. And they were all speaking to the camera. There was a music clip. There is an influencer, a cow influencer. So it was a craziness. Then at one point, as I was mentioned before, Rai 2 come alive, and then one of the clips were like, oh, the cow making parachute and the cow with the violin. It's like, wow, it just look beautiful. These shots are so realistic. So this has to be the center of the ad. The other ones were more animation, stop motion animation, and drawings. It was in a different aesthetic. But then I got those ones. I said, wow, this is very good. It looked perfect. So I started to ideate about this idea where the voiceover is leading the advertising, and there's this mess confusion about the is cow milk, it's not cow, why there are cows there,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so based on that, it was basically the finding these clips from from Luma that basically change the ad.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I loved that ad so much. Yeah, thank you for posting that. And I feel like it also did it made quite a splash online. Like looking at the post, I was like, whoa, people are really into this. People don't make
Yeah.
AI ads the way that people claim that they do. It was interesting, and I think that you're kind of paving the way of opening people's minds towards what's possible here. Um, and like I said,
Yeah.
having that filmmaker perspective on it is huge because it's showing people, hey, the AI is not, it can speed up these processes, it can make things
Hmm.
look really good, it can get your process on paper fast, but it isn't
Yeah.
the human element.
Yeah, okay, I have a small audience, I will say. I only posted on LinkedIn. I because I thought it was like this is a professional thing. I will post it on LinkedIn and see where it goes. I
Mhm.
and I got a lot of very good comments. And is for sure the post that I got more views in my LinkedIn ever. A lot of good comments, and the majority of the good comments are coming from, oh, I see an ad and a story, not just like beautiful visuals
Yeah.
created with AI. So I think that that's what I get from the comments, that they are appreciating that there is a bit more of a storytelling.
Hmm.
Um, Also, there were like bad comments in regards, especially in regards the voiceover. So, and I will say that I use the free subscription of a AI company. So my goal was just I want to put it out, and I just wanna. I didn't think that it will have this impact. So, but yes, I think it's good to that I put it and I got this feedback. So I have it in consideration that the people was saying how soulless and how important is voice,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because we have an instinct for voice, and sometimes we might accept visuals which are more abstract, but the voice has to be human. Like when I say human, realistic. That's what I mean.
Yes.
Because we will achieve, or is already achieved, voiceovers which are extremely realistic. I believe. I didn't have access to those voices,
Mhm.
but yeah, but the human brain decode voice in a way that it's maybe a little bit more painful for the viewer to hear it with a voice that is not really working.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting, and it's interesting too that you're saying not it maybe doesn't have to be like a human doing the voiceover, but it does need to sound human. Like, uh,
Yes.
yes, yeah,
I mean, I had this conversation also many times about not the moral aspect necessarily, but we have been doing advertisement for a long time, retouching the images in many ways, retouching the food to make it look good, appetize. Now we are retouching the voices with a different tool. The same way that before the images has to look like beautiful or appetize or delicious, now these voices have to sound delicious, like sound human. But and there is nothing wrong, I think.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, okay. I'm checking the clock here. I know we're getting to the
Yeah.
end of our hour. I just uh, I want to ask you, what advice do you have to give to creatives looking to incorporate more AI into their work but unsure of where to start?
Mm-hmm. Um, well, it's always depend of like the creative, like if it's like a beginner or like someone who is working on the industry. Like if I will say, if I will talk to someone who is just starting and he doesn't know where to get, just start. Like I also found myself that I didn't know what to do with AI.
Mhm.
And for example, there was this context from a website that say, okay, make a spec ad for these two brands. And for me, was the context that say, okay, then yeah, now I have a framework, this context. Uh, for me, that I work in advertising for so long, when I don't have a brick, sometimes it's overwhelming. Like not to have these barriers, and I don't know what to create. So for me, go to find this little context, or make an ad for start with an image, just with an image because it's a quick entry, and then from an image make like a 10-second Instagram animated video from that image. And maybe found by creating this you already have an idea because you spark your imagination, and then say, oh, this line, and this line could become a small film as well. So
Yeah.
start small, and or find a context or something that will motivate you to say, okay, I'm gonna create this film or image.
Yes, and I feel like once you start creating in AI tools, like once you have that initial parameter, like you're saying, a contest, an ad, whatever, and then
Yeah.
you start prompting it very quickly, you'll be like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. This is working,
Hmm.
this isn't working. Now I want to try this. Like it's a very easy rabbit hole to go down
Yeah.
once you
Do,
start.
do not let your frustration to be an obstacle as well. Just and just keep trying. If you have access to the platform, that just keep trying. And if you don't have access, just go to very small, like as I said, like maybe it don't have to be a film. I'm also like making now a longer film, like longer spot. Um, and I also felt like, oh, maybe I should go for something smaller. Why I go like for a 1.5 minute or 2 minutes, like where it require a lot of footage and more footage. So maybe just go with something very, 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 very small.
Yes, it's great advice.
Hmm.
Finally, where can people follow your work? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, I would say that LinkedIn is the platform where I show up the most. So it's my full name, Carlos Ramas Santamaria, and then I can find you. You can find me there.
And I'll put a link to that below as well so everyone can go follow Carlos on
Thank
LinkedIn.
you.
Carlos, this has been so awesome. Is there anything else that you want to mention about any of this?
That just keep going, be curious, and do more things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. It was also a pleasure, and I hope that we are helping some people out there.